If you get married, people think you're done for, but if you don't have a woman in your life, they feel like something is missing in you. If you have the ability to love, you should first learn to love yourself. Do I hate people? No, I don't hate them. I just feel more at ease when they aren't around. The 9 to 5 work routine is one of the greatest traps set upon humanity. You end up giving away your time and energy to something that doesn't even excite you. Your goals and dreams get limited because you're too lazy or tired to chase them. We are here to challenge the odds, to live in such a way that when death comes, it'll hesitate before taking us. Being a genius might simply mean being able to express something deep in a simple and clear way. There are only 2 problems when it comes to money: having too much or having too little. We don't even ask for happiness anymore. All we want is just a little less pain. Love can be tough, especially for those who can't handle the emotional overload that comes with it. It's like trying to carry a full trash can on your back while crossing a river of filth. Most people are born with incredible potential, but somewhere along the way they lose it and end up wasting it, where they lose creativity, health, and self. People are strange. They get upset over the smallest things, but when it comes to wasting their entire lives, they hardly notice. Of course, it's possible to love someone if you don't know them too well. Real loneliness doesn't always mean being alone. Sometimes it's about being surrounded by people, but still feeling empty inside. There's always one woman who'll save you from another, but as she saves you, she's getting ready to tear you apart. Nothing is more frustrating than finishing a great meal, then reaching for the toilet paper only to find the roll is empty. Even the worst people in the world deserve to wipe their ass, don't they? Bad taste creates more millionaires than good taste ever will. Sometimes you get up in the morning thinking you can't make it through the day, but then you laugh, remembering how many times you've felt that way before and still managed to push through. People avoid the rain but willingly sit in a bathtub filled with water. Isn't that strange? Most people only think about injustice when it happens to them, but rarely do they consider the bigger picture. Dogs and angels, despite being so different, aren't all that far apart. Love is like a serious illness. It's something you never truly recover from, and once you fall into it, you're never the same. Find what you love and let it consume you. What matters most isn't how you avoid the fire, but how well you walk through it. There's a kind of loneliness in this world so deep that you can feel it in the slow, steady tick of a clock's hands. If you're going to try, go all the way. If you can't commit fully, then don't bother starting at all. I've always preferred visiting women rather than having them visit me. There's something about being able to leave whenever you want that feels better. The shortest distance between 2 points can sometimes be unbearable, and sometimes the journey itself is harder than getting to the destination. We have to bring our own light into the darkness because no one else is going to do it for us. Life doesn't come with any promises, no signed contracts that guarantee us anything. In the end, we are all just trying to navigate this world, figuring out what matters, what brings us joy, and what drains us. Some of us learn to accept the challenges to move through life with purpose, while others struggle, caught in a cycle of dissatisfaction and pain. But one thing is for certain, we are all searching for something more, something real, something that makes us feel alive, even if only for a moment. Life doesn't wait for anyone. Time doesn't care if you're ready or not. And in the end, we all have to decide what we're willing to live for, what we're willing to die for, and how we're going to walk through the fire when it inevitably comes. Because it will. And how we face it will determine how we're remembered and whether we truly lived or just existed. So maybe the answer is this: live fully, love deeply, and never let fear or laziness keep you from chasing after what you truly desire. Because at the end of the day, it's not about the things we accumulate or the status we achieve. It's about how we show up in the world and how well we embrace every single moment. The less I needed, the better I felt. There are worse things than being alone, but it often takes many years to realize this. And most of the time, by the time you realize it, it's already too late. There's nothing worse than discovering something when it's too late. Ambition doesn't always help talent. Another thing is luck. Talent often follows luck, not the other way around. If you feel like you're losing your soul, but you're aware of it, then you still have a soul to lose. There's a difference between a democracy and a dictatorship. In a democracy, you vote first and take orders afterward. But in a dictatorship, you don't even have to bother with voting. Some people never go crazy, and it makes you wonder what kind of life they must live. As humans, we are adaptable. We get used to new situations and discoveries. We are flexible. But sometimes there are moments when the thoughts inside your mind seem to stare back at you. You start to question how you can trust a creature that bleeds every month and doesn't lie. It's possible to love a person without really knowing them. When you start saving the world, it's by saving one person at a time. Anything beyond that can just be grand ideas or politics. Some moments are just nice, some are even better, and some are so special that they are worth writing about. We are like roses that never bloom when they should. It feels as though the sun is disgusted from waiting for us to bloom. You have to die a little, more than once, before you can really live. No one can save you but yourself, and you are worth saving. It's a battle that's not easy to win, but if there's anything worth fighting for, it's this. Life will be as kind to you as you allow it to be. A truly free soul is rare, but you know one when you meet them. You can feel it in your bones when you're near them. They make you feel good, really good, just by being in their presence. Sex can be wonderful, but only when there's nothing else to do. If you manage to deceive someone, it doesn't mean they're foolish. It just means that you were trusted more than you deserved. Beauty doesn't matter. Beauty doesn't last. You don't realize how lucky you are to be ugly, because when people like you, you know it's for something deeper. People often complain about not doing enough with their lives, but then they wait for someone to tell them that this isn't true. Art often gets dismissed as worthless, but it's not about the art itself. It's about the experience of creation. I often carry books with me so that I don't have to look at people. The woman who smiles at you when you meet her is probably just feeding her own ego. For those who believe in God, the big questions are mostly answered. But for those of us who can't easily accept the idea of God, the big questions don't have fixed answers. Some people like what you do, some people hate what you do. But most people just don't care. There are 3 things you should never share about yourself: your plans, your income, and the number of people you've been with. As long as a man has wine and cigarettes, he can endure a lot. Life is hard, but it's also beautiful in its own way. The pain, the struggle, and the triumph all weave together into something that, even in its brokenness, holds value. And that's something worth holding on to. Life is a journey full of contradictions and unexpected turns. We often think we need so much to feel fulfilled: material wealth, power, or even a particular kind of love. Yet the more we chase these things, the more we realize that sometimes the less we need, the better we feel. It's only after years of searching that we come to understand this truth. And by that time, it's too late to turn back and change course. We get caught up in the idea of ambition, thinking it will help us succeed or bring us happiness. But in truth, ambition often falls short, especially when it tries to force talent into something it isn't. Talent is something that naturally follows, and often it needs time and patience to grow, not pressure. What truly affects us in life is luck. Sometimes you can be the most talented person in the room, but without the right timing or a stroke of good luck, your abilities might remain hidden. Then there's hope. If you can still feel the loss, it means there's still something worth saving. There's always a chance for change, and you're not completely lost as long as you still have the awareness to recognize what's happening. It's important to remember that life is more than just the big sweeping concepts we hear about. In a democracy, people vote to have a say in what happens next. In a dictatorship, you don't even have the option to vote. This fundamental difference speaks to the choices and freedoms we take for granted in everyday life. Some people live their whole lives without ever questioning anything, never really going through the intense emotional upheaval that comes from challenging your own beliefs or pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone. They may never know the depths of feeling, the highs of passion, or the chaos of discovering the truth about yourself. This kind of life may seem calm, but it's also one that lacks the depth and richness that come from truly understanding yourself and the world. As humans, we are adaptable. We can adjust to just about anything, whether it's a new environment, a new job, or a change in our personal circumstances. But there are moments in life when it feels like our own mind is staring back at us, asking questions we're not ready to answer. How do we trust ourselves when everything around us seems unpredictable and we face the uncertainty of each new day? The answer lies in our ability to accept that we are imperfect, that we make mistakes, and that we are, in fact, fragile creatures. There is, however, beauty in this vulnerability. You don't have to know someone deeply to love them, because sometimes love is more about what you need or what feels good in the moment than about knowing all their details. But when you start helping others, you realize that saving the world doesn't mean trying to fix everyone at once. It begins with saving one person at a time, yourself, or someone close to you, and everything else is just an extension of that personal journey. Then there's hope. If you can still feel the loss, it means there's still something worth saving. There's always a chance for change, and you're not completely lost as long as you still have the awareness to recognize what's happening. It's important to remember that life is more than just the big sweeping concepts we hear about. In a democracy, people vote to have a say in what happens next. In a dictatorship, you don't even have the option to vote. This fundamental difference speaks to the choices and freedoms we take for granted in everyday life. Some people live their whole lives without ever questioning anything, never really going through the intense emotional upheaval that comes from challenging your own beliefs or pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone. They may never know the depths of feeling, the highs of passion, or the chaos of discovering the truth about yourself. This kind of life may seem calm, but it's also one that lacks the depth and richness that come from truly understanding yourself and the world. As humans, we are adaptable. We can adjust to just about anything, whether it's a new environment, a new job, or a change in our personal circumstances. But there are moments in life when it feels like our own mind is staring